Welcome to another episode of Riding and Wrenching, the biggest little YouTube channel on the entire interwebs. I am your host, Q the Rider, and in today's episode, we're going to talk about my 2023 CVO Road Glide. I'm going to share with you things that I like, things that I don't like. I'm going to share with you some of the small surprises that I found in the couple of days of ownership that I've had. I'm going to talk to you about some of the differences between the CVO Road Glide and the CVO Street Glide. And you might be surprised to find out what I think about the CVO Street Glide. We're going to talk about some of the differences between the new generation Road Glides compared to my 18 Road Glide. Some of the differences that are going to take a little bit of getting used to. And I'm also going to share with you my list of planned upgrades for this bike. A lot of them you could probably guess. All right, let's get into it because I got a lot of things I'm going to cover in this video. So let's talk about some of the small surprises. Number one, my USB cord. It's USB-C. They changed from USB-A to USB-C. Not that big of a deal. It's just a difference that I didn't know about when I picked the bike up. I showed up with a USB-A cord. I'm like, oh, dang it, it don't fit. So USB-C, so just be aware of that. It has an integrated garage door opener into the touchscreen. That's pretty cool. In fact, you can program it for 3 different openers. So if you have multiple garage doors or a security gate, it's integrated. It's a beautiful thing. And you could activate the first one with the high beam with the high beam control. Just hit the high beam control and your door opens or closes. Very slick. The capless fuel filler, it's a small change, but it's really cool. Once you get used to not having that fuel cap to deal with, you're gonna love it. EITMS. Now my old bike has EITMS, and so does this one. This one engages automatically, and it happened the first time at a stoplight. It just gives you a little warning on the screen, EITMS enabled, and basically what that does, it's temperature management. It deactivates, I think, the rear cylinder, if I'm correct, and that just allows the bike to run a little bit cooler, saves a little bit of fuel, and all that good stuff. Now, speaking of temperature management, this bike just feels cooler than my 18 Road Glide, even though it is also water cooled. Now, the radiator for this bike is located in the front of the frame, right behind the front tire. And I'm guessing it's just directing the heat away from the rider. And that's probably why the bike doesn't feel as hot. It just feels a lot more comfortable. Even after a day of pounding this bike for, I think we did a 130-mile ride on Sunday, you just didn't feel that heat coming up at you the way that I do on my old bike. So that's a welcome change. There's no cigarette lighter or the 12-volt charging plug there. Cigarette lighter, I guess. If it has one, I don't know where they put it, but it's not on the left side of the bike the way it is on the old ones. Now let's talk about some of those little things that it's going to take some time getting used to. The first one, the location of the left and right turn signals. You still have individual turn signals on each side of the handlebar. They're just a little bit lower than what I'm used to. Now, I've already adapted to that, but the very first day I kept hitting the wrong button because muscle memory just took me back to the same spot of where it is on my old Road Glide. I've gotten used to that already. That was an easy one. The high beam trigger, which is on the left side, very cool. Just click it with your pointer finger on the left side, and you can either flash, I think you pull back to flash your headlights, or you push it forward to turn on your high beams, or pull it back to turn off the low beams, or turn it into low beams. Now, this bike has a kickstand interrupt, I guess, and if the bike is in gear, you turn it on, but the motor's not running, you're gonna get a warning message on the screen telling you that the kickstand is down. And that's what I don't like, because once that message is there, it's gonna stay there, and you can't do anything else with the screen until you put the bike in neutral, start the motorcycle, or actually have to lift it up and raise the kickstand and go ahead and start the motorcycle. You have to do something to get that message to go away. And the problem I have with that is I don't like to park my bike in neutral, and I don't want to put it in neutral if the bike's not running. And also, I don't want to put the kickstand down if the bike is not running. You know, that's just a personal hang up for me. It's something I'll get used to. It's just a little bit different. And also the lean angle. Now, I've got to play with this a little bit more, but on very sharp left turns, I'm scraping my kickstand a little bit more than I had on my old bike. Now that could be because I'm learning to ride better. It could be that my older bike has taller tires and has more lean angle. I'm not sure, but I'm still scraping the kickstand. Now my Street Glide that I had replaced the shocks on it, and that kind of took away the issue of scraping the kickstand. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do about that. Maybe I just won't lean so far. Now let's talk about a couple of the things that I really like on this bike. And number one is this 121 motor. This thing is a beast. It is super fast. When you're on the freeway in 6th gear, you need to pass somebody, you just twist the throttle and it's moving. On my 18 Road Glide, it's a stage 2. I still have to drop a gear to get that kind of pull to get the bike back into its sweet spot. This one, I don't think it has anything but sweet spots across the whole power band. It's really, really amazing. The touchscreen, I'm sure you've been watching other videos. The touchscreen system is awesome. I have been in some very bright daylight. It doesn't get washed out. It's nice and bright. It's high res. It's easy to see. It's even easy to get used to it. There's a lot to it, but it's very, very well laid out. And these controls, once you get used to them, are very easy to use. The handlebars on the Road Glide are freaking sweet. These, I believe, are 11-inch bars, and just looking at the difference or the distance between the bar and the tank. Now, if you bought a brand new Road Glide or Street Glide, those stock bars are all the way down here. And at 6'2", when I'm doing a sharp left or right turn, I've got to move my knee out so I'm not hitting my leg. This one, you don't have any problem with that. I could actually just continue using these bars and not change them out. I probably will anyway, but the reality is that I'm not in a rush to do it. And it's just kind of nice. Now, I'll go ahead and give you an early difference between the Road Glide and the Street Glide. The Street Glide bars are much shorter. And I'm not sure why they did that, but that's one of the big differences between the Road Glide and the Street Glide is the handlebars. The Road Glide, hands down, has the better handlebars between the two. The wind deflectors. Now, there's several wind deflectors on this bike. You have one on top of the infotainment screen. You have this one on the side, and there's also one here. I don't know what you call that, between the handlebars and the tank. So the combination of all of these wind deflectors, they are very effective, especially since this bike doesn't have lower fairings. The wind deflector on the side in particular does a nice job of taking the wind around your knee. Now you could also open it up if you decide you want air, and it'll direct the air right at you. So it's pretty slick. You have a couple of different options on how you use it. Now let's talk about some of the things that I don't like. Number one, my 121 badge. It's not that I dislike it. It's a very attractive looking badge. It has a carbon fiber look to it. But look at this. Look how easy it pops off. There's actually, well, it's not really Velcro. I think Velcro wouldn't last long. But it just pops off. And the reason they did it is to hide the screw. And so your choice is either to expose the screw or hide it. So this is what they decided to do. I'm just concerned that I'm going to come out one day and it's going to be gone. I don't know. I don't know what else they could have done. I like that that they hid the screw, but that's the design trade-offs that they had to make. What else don't I like? The pipes. They're super quiet. I was riding down an interstate going about 65. I was in 3rd gear and had no idea. On my 18 Road Glide, if I'm going 60 miles an hour in 3rd gear, the engine is screaming. This one, you don't hear it. It's so quiet, and I actually like it. I'm getting used to not having all that noise. I don't want a super loud bike, and I'm not sure what I'm going to do about the pipes. If I change them, I only want it a little bit louder just so that I get a little bit of feedback. But I'm enjoying the fact that this bike is quiet, smooth, and powerful. What else don't I like? I talked about the kickstand. Let's talk about the horn. So the horn button is right here. It's on the same switch with your left turn signal. The problem is it's a bit of a reach. So that's something that's different. And I feel like when I need to use my horn, it's going to be a panic situation and oh my God, I need to hit the horn. But the reality, if we get into that panic situation, the focus needs to be, how do I get out of the panic situation? Hitting the horn should not be the first thought. So it's probably not a big deal, but it's just something that's a little bit different. Now, this next item has absolutely nothing to do with Harley Davidson and everything to do with Apple. I don't know why Apple is so difficult with enabling Harley Davidson to just have CarPlay work freely. You have to have the Bluetooth headset connected in order for Apple CarPlay to work. I am never, ever, 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 ever going to use Siri. I don't use it, I never have used it, and I'm not going to use it in the future. It's a useless feature for me, but Apple requires Harley Davidson to have a microphone. And the only way they can do that is with the Bluetooth headset, and it has to be connected or CarPlay doesn't work. Come on, Apple, you're killing me. Let's see, what else? Let's talk about the glove boxes. Now, this is true for both the Road Glide and the Street Glide. The storage boxes do not lock. That would be a nice thing to have because sometimes I'll leave my phone in there if I forget and walk away. I don't want to come back and have my phone missing. All right, let's keep going here. See, we've talked about a couple of the differences between the Road Glide and the Street Glide. Now, regarding the Street Glide, there is one thing about the Street Glide a couple of things that I love. Number one is the looks. That Street Glide, that's awesome. That's a great looking bike. When I went to pick this bike up, they had a CVO Street Glide there, and I'm looking at it and I'm like, oh man, I think I picked the wrong bike. I sincerely thought about saying, no, give me the Street Glide instead, but I decided to stick with the Road Glide. And the reason, one of the reasons is that drawer, the storage drawer on the Street Glide underneath the infotainment center. I didn't think I was gonna like it, but I love that thing. It's actually nice because you can set your phone down flat. It doesn't hit anything. You can open it all the way and you can make a full lock turn either to the left or right. You're not going to hit anything, and it's so useful. It's really, really nice. You know, I had an opportunity to ride that Street Glide all day on Sunday, so a big shout out to Harley Davidson for giving me that opportunity, and also a shout out to my other content creators that I was able to ride with that day. I was riding with Robert Simmons, Cycle Fanatics, Tiffany Renee, and her husband, the cameraman, a cool guy. We were also riding with the Wyman brothers, see Kyle and Cody, and for the life of me, I can't think of the other guy's name. And I hope I'm saying their last name right. But they're very cool young guys, phenomenal riders. It was cool riding with them. But anyway, I was on that Street Glide all day, and the Street Glide is nice. So you pick whichever one you like. I don't think you're gonna go wrong with either one. I think they both look good. I still like the Road Glide a little bit better, but that Street Glide is really sharp. Now the Street Glide that I was on was the Whiskey Neat paint job. It looks better in person. It's phenomenal. Sharp looking bike, and that paint job just pops. It's sweet. Now let's talk about my upgrades. So I do have, I don't know, looks like about 10 things on here, upgrades that I'm planning. The first one has to be the windscreen. This bike has a very short windscreen, and for someone my height, I'm 6'2". I like to ride with a half helmet and a short windscreen. I'm getting hit in the face with a lot of wind, and it drowns out the stereo. I can't hear the exhaust, and it's just not comfortable. So I'm gonna have to ride with a full face helmet until I can get a taller windscreen. Now Harley does offer 2 additional windscreens on their website. They have a 10-inch and a 12-inch. I'm gonna try the 12-inch windscreen. Unfortunately, it's clear, so once it arrives, I'm gonna take it to a tint shop. I'm gonna get it tinted dark, and then I'm gonna put it on, and hopefully, I think it's gonna look pretty good. So we'll get that done, well, whenever my new windscreen arrives. Next thing, see, we talked about the slip-ons. They're kind of quiet. Again, I like it, but I want just a little bit of engine feedback or exhaust feedback. The heel shifter, I can't stand heel shifters. I don't like them. In fact, that's gonna be the first thing that changes. This heel shifter is out of here. It'll be in a box somewhere. I haven't even used it. I don't use heel shifters. I don't like them. Let's see, the next thing I'm gonna talk about is the speakers on the bike. Now, the sound system on here is very nice, but I've got a custom sound system on my older Road Glide, and I'm used to it being super loud. This bike is loud, it's not super loud. But the windscreen is a problem, so I've got to change the windscreen first to see if that takes care of my issue. If it does, then I'll be fine with it the way it is. Otherwise, These 5x7s that are in saddlebags, those are going to come out, and I'm going to put 6x9s in there. I still want lower fairings. I want a tour pack, motorcycle drop guards for my engine guards, which I already have. I'm going to install those, and we'll talk about that in a future video. My cup holder and my cell phone holder. Now, I have my Ciro cup holder and cell phone holder. They don't sponsor me, by the way. It'd be nice if they did, but I'm going to install those on the bike. I think they'll fit. It looks like they will. So again, we'll talk about that in a future video as well. And then finally, a backrest for the rider. On long distance rides, I can't go without a backrest. I don't know how people do it, but this seat looks so good. Once I get a backrest that fits, I'm going to have to take it to an upholstery shop and get it made to look like this, because this is a really good looking seat. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. We'll talk about that in the future as well. Now, I plan to do an entire series of videos on the new bike. We're going to talk about some of the features of the infotainment center, talk about, again, some of the things that I found in terms of setting the bike up and getting it to operate. We're going to talk about the heat of the engine. I'm going to compare that to my Road Glide. Just a ton of videos that I'm going to put out over the coming weeks. And they're going to be coming at you hot and heavy. So if you're interested in those videos, be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. And you can also join me on Facebook. I created a Facebook called 2023 CVO. So come find me on there. I'll put a link to that Facebook group in the description of this video. Come join me. I'm on there all by myself. It's the biggest little Facebook group on the entire interwebs. But you know, we'll get some people on there. Those people who are interested in sharing what they learned, and also we'll just learn from each other. It'll be a great opportunity. That's all I got. This is Q. I'm riding, I'm wrenching, and I am out.